Hello, I'm the Showpout Guy, and I want to make a quick video or a reaction video to this video here called Duelist Advance has failed from Ka-My. This has to be one of the dumbest videos I've ever seen as it relates to the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the reason for that is because currently, as of right now, there's a huge issue as it relates to bringing in casual players or non-Yu-Gi-Oh! Players into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game and or Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. It's struggling. We currently have a millennial issue going on where a lot of the top players or the figureheads within the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community are people in their early to mid 30s. It's dominated mostly by millennials and sort of older Gen Zers, but for the most part here, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community and the game itself though is completely out of touch with the general audience out there. And so one of the things right now that's currently going on with the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is affordability. People have been talking about it for the past 25 years, that Yu-Gi-Oh! Affordability is really difficult. It's been bad. It's really tough. There's a lot of gatekeeping going on, and it's really tough for people to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of how expensive the game is. So, in the past, I say 6 years, the game has increasingly become a lot more affordable, actually. Konami has constantly been reprinting all the top meta cards here, or the expensive cards here, especially with the quarter century secret rares going on, actually. And the game has increasingly become a lot more affordable, and so more and more players are now able to have go get the best cards, and the game is a lot more accessible now. However, though, with the game being a lot more accessible to people outside the community, and for the game to be a lot more affordable for people to get into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, we have some detractors out there, and those detractors are people who put a lot of money into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And look at it as a stock market. This is from Ka-My here, and I'll explain to you what's going on.
The Duelist Advance was one of the worst performing sets in Yu-Gi-Oh! History.
Oh no, why? Why did Duelist Advance fail? How? So Duelist Advance is the newest booster set box that came out of the Yu-Gi-Oh! That came out of Konami, and the box is being released out to Yu-Gi-Oh! Stores or card stores out there, and it's not selling all that well. Why? Why is deck box not really selling all that well here? Let's find out here. Ka-My.
Now make sure you guys smash living crap out of that system.
No, I'm not going to.
Very interesting topic to be looking at here, because multiple stores have told me that Duelist Advance was one of their worst performing products, actually, of all time.
Okay, so I'm saying this right now. Actually, currently, right now in all TCGs here, whether it be One Piece, Dragon Ball right now, especially with Pokemon, there's a huge scalping issue going on. The biggest TCG game the biggest TCG game out right now is Pokemon. And currently right now, actually, it's hard to find Pokemon. It really is. If you go to a card store, if you can go to a local Walmart, actually, it is really hard to find this stuff here because there are scalpers. There are scalpers getting these booster boxes and reselling it at incredibly high prices. That is just incredibly unfair. Remember, this is a kid's card game here. Still, a lot of kids here, whether it be teenagers, preteens, adolescents, there are a lot of kids who still actively get engaged in collecting Pokemon cards and playing Pokemon. And so right now it's hard for people to get these cards here because accessibility is very difficult because these gosh darn scalpers are getting all these Pokemon cards. However, though, the exact opposite is happening where card stores are struggling selling Duelist Advance here, and it failed. It is one of the worst boxes ever in terms of selling. Let's see.
Now, all time means probably in the last 5 to 7 years out here. But what in the world has caused this to be such an underwhelming set out here? I think there's a couple of things to contribute to this right now. And the first one I want to talk about is the state of the TCG market as a whole. Cosmer did an entire breakdown of the market last year to this year, and TCG players, the market I think shrunk 60 million or something like that, if I get the numbers right. But either way, the point is the market has shrunk in the last year over things right now. Now, that's a pretty blanket statement to say, well, a lot of this failure has to do with the TCG market and the shrinking of this. Number two is a lot of people, the world economy, all that situation, you guys are very aware of what's going on. A tariff over there, a tariff over there. It is uncertainty.
That is crazy right now. Oh, dang, dude. It's so bad. I feel so bad that these Yu-Gi-Oh! Card stores are not selling out their overpriced booster boxes that you have like a very small chance of making profit out of because people are saving their money. Oh no! People are saving their money now? Ah! See, around 2020, the reason why Yu-Gi-Oh, like people made a lot of money off Yu-Gi-Oh, as well as like NFTs and like which was a complete rip-off by the way, crypto stuff, Pokemon. The reason why the card market spiked in 2020 was because everybody was stuck at home and people had this huge like nostalgia wave going on where they started backtracking their old stuff here. So people started buying Pokemon stuff. People started buying like Digimon. People started buying Yu-Gi-Oh, Power Rangers. They started collecting a lot of Funko Pops. Basically, there's this huge nostalgia wave happening in the West, and people started buying overpriced stuff. Let's be honest here, overpriced stuff, and they paid way too much back in 2020 to 2023. Now then, because people were constantly complaining about affordability being an issue, Konami has reprinted a bunch of the best cards here. Duelist Advance, though, didn't have any that much like meta supports. It really didn't actually, because one occurring that's been going on with the community is the community keeps saying, hey, we need to bring in more casuals. Hey, we need to stop focusing on the meta. Hey, we need to stop hyper-focusing on competitive play. Let's just go and support all these casual decks here, and let's try something new. Let's try something innovative over here. Let's go and let's make Yu-Gi-Oh fun here by not being hyper-focused in the competitive tournament scene, because guess what? A small fraction of people who play Yu-Gi-Oh even take part of the competitive scene. We like to pretend we take part in it by having discussions on it though, or talk about it, or play like competitive cards in a Masterduel. But for the most part here, a small fraction of the Yu fan base or Yu community are into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. So Konami has shifted away from hyper focusing in on competitive Yu-Gi-Oh and are reprinting all like the expensive cards here. Like, it used to be a thing actually where like some of the best cards in the game were like $100, $140, $80, 100. Now, because they're constantly reprinting stuff over and over again, actually, even the expensive cards nowadays are like $50, $40, $60, because they're constantly reprinting cards all the time though. And with them constantly reprinting cards, this makes the game a lot more affordable. And so being able to segue from a casual player to a competitive player has been more convenient now than it's ever been in the past. The trade-off, though, is people like this over here who are complaining about that. Oh, man, darn it. People are way more smart with their money. Darn it. Ain't that sucks, guys? Doesn't that suck? Don't you hate it when people are a lot more, like, stingy with their money and they want to live an affordable life? Isn't it terrible that you got someone out there who wants to go and micromanage your money and use the money for buying groceries or paying for their apartment or paying for their college tuition instead of buying Yu-Gi-Oh cards that's worth like $69, and you'll probably make like maybe like $10, $20 back from it though? Oh man, how terrible is it? Tell us more.
Is a very, very wild creature right now. But a lot of people right now are they're putting their money aside for Justice Hunters. Konami...
No, not necessarily that, actually. I completely disagree with that. Yes, Justice Hunters will be a big set, though, and people will only play Justice Hunters because it is like a duelist pack set, actually, not a deck building set, and there will be people who will buy that stuff, usually. However, the cost of like buying these decks or these cards here will be much more lower than the cards and decks we had to go and make in the past because of the constant reprints happening. So yeah, Justice Hunters will be a better set than Duelist Advance because Justice Hunters focus a lot more in the competitive fan base, and even the players out there who like to pretend they're part of the competitive fan base likes to go and buy this stuff. I get that, I recognize that, and I understand that. But let's not pretend over here that Justice Hunters will do as well though, or do all that well, because people are thinking about, paying for groceries or paying for housing or paying for their family or paying for tuition.
Made a very big mistake, I think, releasing these sets in the opposite orders that they did. Because by releasing Justice Hunters second, you basically told all the TCG players to look at Duelist Advance and go, nah, let the product flop. The only things in this set that you even need for that format are, you guessed it, Holy Sue, and a couple of stray Vanquishal cards, and then Lunalights are by far probably one of the bigger rogue decks out here.
But that's the thing, nobody cares about format for the most part. We like to pretend we care about formats, but most people do not care about the formats. And this is one of the issues with like the youth community. We hyper focus that if it's not competitive, it sucks. When really, actually, then there is a market out there. There is like there is like a fan base out there who even like stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh or left the community because of the hyperfixation on competitive formats here. So when we have a booster set out here that doesn't hyper focus on like competitive formats, actually, then yeah, not only does it like not sell well because our community is hyper focused on that stuff. Actually, the people who are into like the casual format stuff, they're generally not gonna buy booster boxes, and we're gonna buy off like single cards here, like in TCG player, or we'll try to trade it off. Though it's a normal thing that happens. Though it is expected, if especially nowadays, or with Penguins Charlie making his video, if you do buy a booster box, you're an idiot. All right then, like not everyone is the chosen one. Stop thinking you're gonna be that one guy who's gonna pull out, you know, this expensive card that's gonna be worth $200. Stop thinking you're gonna go make money or make your bank off these Duelist boxes, because if you do, actually, that's really stupid. It is incredibly dumb to think that all because you buy a booster box, you are entitled to go and make a whole lot of money back, when truth be told, actually, about 90% of people who buy this stuff here just do it for the experience. That is just the honest case over here. If you buy a booster box, whether it be Duelist Advance or Justice Hunters, actually, there are more dummies out there who will attempt to buy Justice Hunters, recognize that they don't get the cards that they want, and they'll end up buying the singles on a TCG player. So for the most part here, you lose money.
Those are it. All right. RB got its first wave of support, so you got a penny stunk there. That's really about it. And then you have the question mark that is Artmagia, or Art Mage, for the TCG players. So why is this failing? Well, once again, world economy, you know, uncertainty.
Yeah,
and
people saving their money,
putting all of whatever they have extra aside to go after the next big thing.
Yeah,
now,
or they're saving their money for life.
Now, this does actually bode really well that a lot of players and stores right now are putting everything into Justice Hunters. When I don't think anybody is going to make an argument right now that Justice Hunters is going to be the hottest set of the year. While the rarity set...
it's going to be a big set just because we as a community like to, especially when it comes to a set that has competitive cards in it, we like to artificially inflate or hype up decks to be a lot more better than they actually are at times, though. And I'm not going to deny that not to be true, actually. I think we will... Like, Justice Hunters will be a good set because we as a community will make a big deal out of it, though. And even though, like, truth be told, actually, the competitive cards, like, I do believe this, that the formats that we typically play, for the most part, with the exception of, like, Snake Eyes and Tier Limits, for the most part, have not been solved. And so, when you have these new decks come in, actually, then, from the new set coming into Yu-Gi-Oh!, the current, like, decks we have right now are still going to be competitively viable, but we're just not going to play those cards, and we're going to say it's been power creep just for the sake of, like, recency bias with, like, new cards coming in that is, A, not filled with the anime, and B, fresh and new.
That was a very, very good set. When you make a deck build pack that has 3 incredibly broken themes in it, it is going to change the tide for a lot of people, and I am expecting some pretty crazy results.
Honestly, if you try to buy a booster box instead of buying singles, actually, you are a dummy. Let's be honest here.
On that front for that. So, had things been a little bit more reversed out here, I could have seen that we could have had Duelist Advance be a better set. Now, I know that a lot of people in the TCG like when these sets flop. You know, I mean, it's cheap cards for everybody. Ooh,
cheap cards. Yeah, who doesn't want that?
I like to remind everybody out here, though,
okay, remind us.
If we were, 4 sets this year that are under MSRP, that's a problem. That means that stores are losing money.
No! Stores are losing money! No! I will say this like I said it before, actually. You, as a player, as a customer, actually, you don't own that store. You don't own that. You're not entitled to support a store if you don't want to. You don't have to buy a set or waste your money on a store that, truth be told, actually, when you walk into a TCG card store, actually, the owner, the people who work there, when they see you come in, actually, they see you as, hey, look at this walking piggy bank over here, actually. He or she is going to give us money. Like, you are not entitled. Like, stores are not entitled to, like, make profit off everybody who walks into the store. That's dumb. That is such entitlement. I don't get that actually. Hey, if a store is like struggling actually, like you don't have to like support it. You don't have to. Like, it's not your job. It's not your role as a customer, as a consumer. It is not your responsibility to make sure that a company or another store that you don't have no affiliation with, for the most part, actually, for the most part, like, makes profit. Like it's dumb. It really is actually then. And by the way, if you're like car store struggles with like selling Yu-Gi-Oh content actually, then there's a high likelihood, like let's be honest here actually, that your core fan base or the core consumers you have there are not Yu-Gi-Oh players here. So like boo-hoo that these car stores are not making money off their consumers. Darn it. I feel so bad that these store owners here are not able to take advantage and like make money off people who are gonna overpay for booster boxes or for cards, or my favorite here, when those same consumers try to go sell cards and try to make money off the store actually, then the store's like, nah, we're gonna buy your cards for about 60% off. Darn it, no.
On this product, and you know, people, I don't get this. I don't get what the problem is here, because people are like, yeah, that evil LGS over there.
No one
LGS has to pay their employees.
But that's not your responsibility, though. It's not. It's the same concept as tipping culture. You don't need to tip the person as a way to like fight against capitalism. Like, no, you don't have to tip the waiter if you don't want to tip the waiter here. Once again, the economy is bad. Who's to say why is it on the hands or the responsibility of the consumer to go and try to help out a struggling business? If you want to help out a struggling business, that's your call. That's your decision over here. It's your call. You don't have to, it's like the struggling restaurant. It's your decision of whether or not you want to support the struggling restaurant and you want to go and pay for that meal. However, though, if the struggling restaurant is giving you really bad food, then don't feel inclined that you have to like overpay. If they're selling a $10 cheeseburger and you want to pay $3 for that cheeseburger just for that company to survive, and then they give you like a bad cheeseburger, no. Even if the cheeseburger was good, actually, it is not your responsibility. No one is saying these card companies are evil. They're not. But we're playing by the same rules here that like if car stores want to make money off the consumer here, the consumer should be able to take money off the car stores as well actually. And guess what? 90% of them don't do that because you know why actually? And I see this all the time where there are people who go to the car stores and they try to sell their cards. Like me for instance actually, I try to sell a card to a card store actually, and then they freaking rip you off and they'll sell you something at a much larger price here, or they're gonna underpay you for a card you are selling here. No. Like, if car stores want to play the hustle game, then consumers can play the hustle game as well then. We decide how we manage our money. You decide how you manage your money.
You guys like that workers can get paid money and equal opportunity. And
you're not the employer. You're not. Don't guilt trip people into believing in this nonsense.
All this other shit, right? Well, the TCG market, especially Yu-Gi-Oh players, they don't give a shit. They want their cards to be as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
So when a set underperforms like this and bleeds the LGS money, you know, it's not a surprise to see that stores are dropping Yu-Gi-Oh. I've seen it's begun again, people.
Okay.
LGSs are dropping Yu-Gi-Oh because of the quote unquote this was a bad product.
Yeah. That's A, that's on Konami, and B, that's on the store. What is up with this dumb guilt tripping thing going on actually? Oh, don't you feel bad that this guy here who was able to like spend a lot of money and is probably making money off your off your sorry butts here when they walk to the store? Don't you feel sad that they're losing money? If you want, I get it. If you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, there are alternatives. Okay, then you can either play with your friends in a casual setting, and if you don't have any friends, sorry about that. Actually, if you don't have any friends here, you can always go and play a Project Ignis or a Mega, and you can contact people on Discord here. Considering the fact that connecting to people is much more easier now than it's ever been before in the digital age here, it ain't hard to go set up a game session. It really isn't actually then, and even then actually like people for the most part for the current like Yu-Gi-Oh players majority wise actually, we've kind of found our stores already at this point over here in terms of where we want to play at.
You know,
also Masterduel,
the store gets burned
Masterduel also
too
available.
much. why in the hell would they continue to support a game like this?
But so what card store just falls apart because one singular like no, like these same card stores that are like that stop selling Yu-Gi-Oh products are the same card stores actually that probably bought into MetaZoo. And guess what? I know a lot of card stores actually that don't sell Yu-Gi-Oh products. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. Okay, I can go find another card store. There's other ways for me to enjoy this game over here. There really is actually.
And that's what we're seeing here now. We're 4 to 5 sets into the year here that are all underneath MSRP. Why am I buying MSRP from a distro when, or, you know, they're underneath distro cost, actually. That's the crazier part. Stores are, it's what, 50, 60 a box? And,
way too much.
Let's call it what it is. If this box is $45 on TCG Player, why am I buying it from a distro when I can just go on the secondary market and pick it up?
Exactly.
You know, and I don't have to spend as much. Anybody else find that weird? So if you're sitting here, you're
but that's not weird though. That's perfectly fine.
like, oh, you know, Duelist Advance put my locals out of business. Well, it's strange that your locals didn't go in on Justice Hunters. It's literally right now all hands on deck for Justice Hunters.
Yeah, if a card store wants to Justice Hunters, then
question mark here that we have.
Also, most card stores actually that don't sell Yu-Gi-Oh products in the first place actually, like for the most part, don't even have like a Yu-Gi-Oh community. Let's be honest here.
For this year, is Konami has literally been punting the ball so hard with this because we don't have the Evil Twin stuff. We don't have, you know, all the missing Sky Striker cards we need. It's 100% very apparent that when you look at Masterduel and you saw the sales of, you know, the Evil Twin cards and those alt arts, that cosmetically people were going batshit crazy for them. But yet the TCG right now refuses to release these cards, and we continue to get duds out here, like Duelist Advance. Now,
I wouldn't say duds, man. It's just like not really your thing, actually. And here's the thing, though. Let's be honest here. The main reason, the main reason why like these people here want those cards to be like in these sets here, so they can make money off you. They don't care about the art. They don't care about you enjoying like the card itself. Actually, they just want to make bank off you. That's like the honest truth here. Like people who like the Evil Twins and the Sky Striker, like alt art stuff, actually, then they don't want those cards in the boxes because they think, you know, people in the community will enjoy that stuff or enjoy playing it. They just want it so they can make profit off you guys. Let's just be transparent here.
Duelist Advance could have also been saved as a set had some of the rarities been swapped around.
And also,
I think
while I'm at it though, let's be honest here. Like, there's gonna be a scenario like within a couple months or maybe even a year or two now, actually, where there's gonna be some really good card that pops into this Duelist Advance setter here, actually, then that people just completely overlooked, and it's gonna be played in the competitive meta, and then like that year or two later on, actually, we're gonna complain about Konami short selling. That's a crazy part of short printing these cards.
Very much look at the rarities in this set because while all the Art Mage stuff is a higher rarity, by the way, I gotta remind everybody right now that I've been saying this. I'm gonna look like a crackpot after this theory comes true. Once that second wave of Art Mage support comes down from the top, and if this lore is going to dig us in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets out here, and you're gonna be looking at this stuff, looking at how cheap it is right now, because of Duelist Advance's failings on the secondary market. I think a lot of people are going to be very, very shocked when this happens. And I cannot wait to rush in here in my silver-clattered fat-ass chair.
Yeah.
Going, told you so.
Yeah, it 100% happen, dude. In 2 years' time right now, or whatever from now, there's going to be a couple of very expensive cards here right now. I think, like, the actual, like, in terms of an actual, like, play, and it's not not quarter century, they're on $26, $25. So that $26, $25 card within the span of maybe like 9 months from now is going to end up being like a $60 to an $80 card. So you might as well like buy this stuff really more than anything else. So if you're interested in like the Art Mage cards,
a lot of people have been picking up the Art Mage cores at $100 a piece. I think that potentially when this comes to pass and when we do get Justice Hunters, I think Holy Sues are going to go back up. And like I said, we already saw buyouts happening on Duelist Advance. Prices were too low. And, I mean, look at Stage Landings day one. Stage Landings were dollars. All right? People, when cards hit these low of prices, The average Joe is going to go, well, that's too low. Screw it. I can spend $40 and get 40 copies of these. If the card doubles in price, I made $40. You know, it doesn't take a genius out here to look at this and go, yeah, that's a little bit low.
I will say this though. I'll put him down a little bit.
Set really broke a lot of the.
Okay, so like I will say this though. I am not a fan of just like people look at this children's card game as like a stock market, which to me is kind of messed up here. Considering the fact that gambling is a huge issue right now, like along the West here, where people are openly supporting gambling, like in video games, in sports, like gambling's a thing that's like highly promoted. All right, then like one of the big appeals about Squid Games is the fact that you're gambling with your life to go and play a dangerous game where you'll either be super screwed, as i.e. in debt actually, or you're gonna be super rich. And there are people out there who are spending loads of money on lottery, or they're spending loads of money on NFTs, or loads of money in like the stock market. And for the most part here, about 9% of the time they lose. They lose through their like invested in their investments all the time here. Heck, even people who do like real estate housing actually, they typically for the most part lose. And so for the fact here that like it's now bleeding into like we went from like draw your last pathetic card, Yugi. My deck has no pathetic cards, or like my grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards here. Exodia obliterate. We went from that to like, how can we make money from this?
Out here, they're like, no, don't buy. Wait till the Monday. Trust me, it's gonna work out. You lost out on dollar stage landings. You lost out on 75-cent Medius the Pures. You missed out on like
stock market money. I like money
of Archmage the Field Spell
money
around. This set had amazing calls at that midnight to 2 a.m. range of the doors coming down. They were there. And I'm going to be saying this for a while. Pay attention to the very early day ones.
Pay attention to the Yugioh stock market, huh?
Now, even though Duelist Advance has failed, the vendors have said that this has been the worst performing set for them of the year. I think because this set is broken into two sectors, you know, the one post-Justice Hunters hasn't really got the chance to wake up yet, or post-Dude. You know, when you take these themes and you spread them out like this, this was bound to happen. I think this set will age a little bit better than it's looking right now.
Oh, it will, and they were going to complain about it.
Get through the new stuff out here so that we can start to see, oh, hey, you know, these new cards are actually coming. There could be some potential upswing, but Duelist Advance truly was a marvel in this game's history. And
yeah. I'm going to stop right there, actually, but Duelist Advance here, yeah, it didn't sell all that well, but here's the thing: you don't have to feel guilty about it not being selling all that well. And see, good thing those people who are trying, those resellers especially, who are trying to resell all this stuff here for like $70 here, nah. And also in a couple months here, those like same stores will attempt to like sell this box over again when like the set becomes really good for like $80-$90. It's just gonna naturally happen here. Like we live in a time frame where everybody's trying to hustle each other for money, and I'm sick and tired of all that nonsense just happening. And I think it's a really good thing that players are really like, they're putting forth like their money. Okay, then like it used to be a thing where people were saying, let your money do all the talking, let your spending show what you really want or what you want to see or what you would like. And it's happening here actually. People are being a lot more responsible with their money, hopefully. The same way people like stop investing on NFTs, the same way people stop investing on like crypto coin actually, which is ironic because like, it's been going up as of late though. The same way people just like stop like gambling a lot actually, but they're kind of sadly reeling back in then. I just dislike this whole like thing of like, oh man, I feel so bad because Duelist Advance didn't let the people making money. Like, we got scalpers for Nintendo Switch, we got scalpers for Magic the Gathering, we got scalpers for Pokemon here. Let's just be happy that there's no scalpers here for Yu-Gi-Oh! That's all I gotta say here.